Welcome in, Dween Nation. We are the Dween Sports Podcast, and we are just about to get started. But before we do, we'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, and share so we can continue to be your fantasy sports podcast. Thanks for being part of Dween Nation, and enjoy the show. Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Pies, alongside Janoah, Agudelo, and we are officially back. We are within a few days in striking distance of Week 1 of the NFL 2025 football season, and with that, returns are one of our favorite, most watched segments, and that is rapid fire game picks. And obviously, you know the gist. We will run through each and every game, picking the winner and loser of every game at the fastest rate possible. After each of us do it, we will discuss the more betting side of things. If you're getting, deep into the over-unders or the money lines. So we'll discuss that after. But our rapid fire is kind of going straight through each winner of each game. But before we do, how you doing, Janoah?
Yo, Dween Nation. Justin, this is amazing. We're just a few days away from the NFL regular season kickoff there between the Cowboys and the Eagles. This is so exciting. I remember, Justin, like a few years ago, we had to wait till like the second weekend of September for Week 1 to kick off. But no. We have it here the first weekend of September. I'm so excited. No one call me on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, because I will be eyes glued to that TV. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
No, I completely agree. And I, even though, yes, it is kind of more work for the NFL players, but the more fun we are having now, it is a week earlier. We get a Friday game. So now we got Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday college football and Sunday NFL football and Monday NFL football. So we are getting blessed and very lucky as sports fans, especially football fans. But let's do it. Let's do our rapid fire picks. I'll start us off. I'm excited to do my first of the year rapid fire game selection. You have the timer ready. You count me down from 3 and I will run.
All right, Justin, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right, we start Thursday night with the Super Bowl champs versus the Dallas Cowboys division matchup. Give me the Eagles to win. They've won the last 3 years at home. We moved to Brazil, Kansas City, and Los Angeles. If it was in Los Angeles, I might give the edge to them, but it is a neutral site in Brazil. Give me Kansas City. We moved to Sunday, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Really good matchup. Give me Atlanta. They beat them twice last year. They beat Tampa Bay twice last year, so I'm going to go with Michael Penix and the Falcons. Cincinnati at Cleveland. Cincinnati always starts slow. I think this is actually going to be a really close game, but I will stick with the Bengals to win. Miami and Indianapolis. With the kind of injury linger of Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill, I'll take the Colts to win Daniel Jones' first start with Indianapolis. We got Vegas and New England. Give me the Patriots to win with Mike Vrabel. Arizona and New Orleans. Come on, I'm going Arizona. New Orleans is a dumpster fire. Pittsburgh at New York Jets. This is probably the toughest game on the slate, but I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to get the win here. The veteran team wins against the new head coach Aaron Glenn. New York plays the Commanders. Give me Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. I know Terry McLaurin's just getting back, but I like them to win the game at home. Carolina at Jacksonville. I'm actually going to go with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. I think they have an explosive offensive output, and they win. Tennessee at Denver. Give me Denver to knock the socks off of Cam Ward and the Titans. San Fran and Seattle. San Fran has won 6 of the last 7 games against the Seahawks. I will take the 49ers to win that game on the road. Detroit at Green Bay. Jordan Love is still coming back from his hand injury that he had surgery for. I'll take the Lions to win a road game there. Houston and the Rams. Unfortunately, I don't trust Houston's offensive line, and the Rams' defensive pressure, it's going to be too much. The Rams win. Baltimore at Buffalo. Baltimore gets revenge for the drop pass from Mark Andrews to go into overtime. I'll take the Ravens to win on the road there. And then we end with Monday night, Minnesota at Chicago. And I'll take Chicago.
All right, Justin, you finished right under 2 minutes. 1 minute and 56 seconds there was your final time.
I was trying to dive into a little bit more depth, but I also wanted to be fast because that is probably one of my slower times if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I'm happy with it. Are you feeling like you're ready to rock?
I am, Justin. I am. Whenever you're ready, you can count me down.
All right. 3, 2, 1, and you're on.
All right, Super Bowl champion Eagles kick off the week with a W against the Cowboys. Give me the Eagles. Chargers and Chiefs, I think it's going to be a close one. I think Patrick Mahomes steals one in Brazil. Give me the Chiefs. We go to Atlanta where they play the Buccaneers. Give me the Buccaneers to steal one on the road. We go to Cincinnati and Cleveland. I want to pick Cleveland. I'm not going to lie. You mentioned Cincinnati just start slow. But I'm gonna go with the Bengals just because we go to Indianapolis where they face the Dolphins. Give me the Dolphins to win one on the road. Patriots and Raiders. Give me Patriots. Let me see, Saints and Cardinals. Obviously the Cardinals. We got the Jets home with the Steelers. Give me the Steelers. We got Washington home with the Giants. Give me the Commanders in a very close shootout, Justin. A close shootout. Jacksonville, Carolina. Give me Carolina. I think they still won in Jacksonville. Denver home with Tennessee. Give me the Broncos. Seattle and San Francisco. I like me some Sam Darnold at home. Give me the Seahawks. Green Bay and Detroit. I'm going to go with the Detroit in a rough defensive battle. I don't think these teams combine for 20 points, to be honest. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Los Angeles home with the Texans. I'm sorry, but I got to pick the Rams. Even with Stafford's bad back, I think that this receiving corps shreds my Texans secondary. We go to Buffalo, where I'm going to take Lamar Jackson to steal one on the road Sunday Night Football. And then lastly, the Vikings go on the road against the Bears. It's going to be a tough one to watch, but give me the Bears.
All right. You got a minute 23, so you have defeated me. So congratulations there. I do want to dive into some of the – obviously, we talked about the betting, but also I just want to talk about our differences because we had a few games that we picked differently. I'll start with Tampa Bay and Atlanta. This is a very interesting game here, but I feel like it's going to be a shootout, which is exciting for fantasy football. But we're here talking about winners and losers of said game. But what gives you the edge for Tampa Bay?
I just think that with Penix, his first kind of, obviously he's had a couple starts, but his first full season as a starter, he might struggle just a tad bit, just because I feel like there's been kind of an off season. There's been some time to study Penix in this offense. I feel like they might start just a little bit slow. And I think that Baker Mayfield, even though I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield guy, Justin, I do think that he is going to continue where he left off. 41 touchdowns last season. And I think that Emeka Ibuka is going to have probably the rookie of the week kind of stat line there. I think he goes over 100 yards, maybe a touchdown. And I think that Bucky Irvin also shreds this Atlanta defense. And I think that this Buccaneers defense makes some tough stops. I think now I'm not going to say that, the Falcons defense is going to, or the Falcons offense is going to get shut down, Justin. But I think they're going to start a little bit slow. Tampa's going to be able to get up maybe 16-0. Maybe I think we do get a little bit of some Penix magic in the third quarter, fourth quarter, maybe a Drake London big play touchdown or maybe a Bijan touchdown. But other than that, I think that Tampa Bay holds on late. They get a big stop, maybe another Bucky Irving touchdown. I do think he's going to have a great game in Atlanta. So that's why I just have Buccaneers. They just have the tad bit experience. But I'm looking for their second matchup in Tampa at the middle or end of the season, where I think maybe that Atlanta could steal that one.
No, I think that's a valid discussion that you made, a point you made, that it is Penix. I know, obviously, you're right. He had the 3 starts to end the year, but this is really his first full offseason with the starting unit. They lost with Caleb McGarry for the season on the offensive line. They lost Drew Dahlman, the center, to the Bears. So there's a couple losses that could be tough for Atlanta. The reason I go Atlanta because last year, or going into this year, I think that they're a better team than they were last year, and I think the Buccaneers are a slightly worse team than they were last year. But that is obviously just projection. But looking at it, I think Atlanta, they beat them twice last year. They were both electric games, close one-score games. One game went to overtime, and it was Kirk Cousins, not Michael Penix. But I think that Atlanta's going to get the edge there. Another kind of gross game, but we kind of got to talk about it, is the Dolphins and the Colts. I'll throw it to you here. What do you think about what Daniel Jones and Tua are going to put together in this game?
Yeah, Justin, I just look, if Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill play, I think they're ultimate game changers there. I think the Colts can stop one of them, but not both of them. So if they can stop Devon Achane, then you best believe Tyreek is getting a bomb. Over 60 yards. If they can stop Tyreek Hill, then Devon Achane is going to have two rushing touchdowns and 100, total scrimmage yards. I think that Tua, he's going to start off poised there. I think he's going to make some plays. They're in an indoor stadium. They don't have to worry about weather there in Indianapolis. And then, Justin, I'm just not a believer in Daniel Jones. Never have been since he was the 6th overall pick by the Giants, a couple, was it 5-6 years ago now? And I just don't think that he's still a starting quarterback. Now, he's a pretty good rushing quarterback, but he doesn't really have receiving corps to, I guess, feed, right? There's Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell. I know they got Tyler Warren. I mean, I just don't think he has the talent to get the ball to all of them. And I just feel like, the Dolphins defense isn't that good. So if there is any game for Daniel Jones to prove anybody wrong, it's this game. And if not, Justin, I fear that the Colts will be going back to AR at some point in the season. So that's why I feel like the Dolphins have this one.
No, and I think you make some really valid points. I think what I've learned, at least if I could learn anything from college football on Saturday, first week of a new season, is that people are going to defy your expectations in one way or another. Whether it was Arch Manning that we saw on Saturday or Carson Beck we saw in a good way on Sunday night. There's a range of things that can happen, and everybody, including myself, don't think that Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. But just see him have a good game against the Dolphins, against a bad defense, as you mentioned. And then people are like, well, were we wrong? And that's the discussion all leading into next week, which I still don't think is a true statement. But obviously, overreactions happen, especially after the first week, and people haven't gotten football for so long. But that's kind of the discussion with the Colts there. I guess the last one that I think brings up – there's kind of two, but we can go at it in a more quick way. Carolina and Jacksonville. Obviously, two former Tampa Bay offensive coordinators are now head coaches in different places. They put together offenses that were super impressive, and now they're leading two franchise quarterbacks that disappointed or have been disappointing. But what gives you the edge for Carolina to beat Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. and company?
Justin, one person comes into mind, and that is the former number one pick overall. Not Trevor Lawrence, but the other one, Bryce Young. Justin, I think he's going to have a great game in that Florida sun. And I think that, you know what, in some ways, that trade, sending Thielen back to Minnesota, it actually gives me some hope for this offense in Carolina. I think that, Bryce Young is now going to be able to develop with Tet and Xavier Legette, a guy that we were hoping for, that he could do something last year. And I'm really liking the possibility of Bryce Young having a phenomenal game. They do have David Moore. It looks like they did bring back Hunter Renfrow. I know they cut him, but I think they brought him back. He is what kind of legend there. I know he's a former Clemson Tiger. I don't think it's too far away from where the Panthers play. Obviously, they'll be in Jacksonville this weekend. And then Jatavion Sanders, former UT tight end there. I think he has a pretty good game there. And I think that Bryce Young is going to be able to establish the run game with Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle. I don't think this Jacksonville defense is good at all. Who knows if Travis Hunter is going to be playing on defense that much. I think they're going to be figuring out in Jacksonville, right? And I think that, Brian Thomas may have a good game, but I just think that Trevor Lawrence, he's just not the guy yet. Maybe at some point this year he finds fire. And you know what? I do think that Trevor Lawrence has a good fantasy game where he has some garbage time touchdowns. But I just think that this Panthers, team, they know that, hey, this division isn't all that competitive. The Saints are dumpster fire. Atlanta and Tampa Bay are going against each other at that very same time. So one of those teams in the division is going to start 0-1. So Carolina has that sense of optimism. Let's steal one on the road. We're not far away from home, right? From Carolina to Jacksonville. It isn't really that far of a trip. We get our win. We have our 50-minute ride home, and we'll be ready for next week. And you know what? I just like Bryce Young. I think he comes out more poised, more accurate. Obviously that benching last year where Andy Dalton took over for about 4 or 5 games, I think that kind of opened his mind. I think Dave Canales kind of has a new game plan. And you know what? I love it. I think that's why I like Carolina to steal one on the road.
I think that's a good way to look at it. I have, unfortunately, kind of the opposing look at it, just for the fact that I love that the Panthers are showing ultimate confidence in T-Mac, Teteroa McMillan, and Xavier Legette by getting rid of Adam Thielen. So that wide receiver is now gone, a reliable pass catcher for Bryce Young. Another guy who I think I was a little bit high on in Jalen Coker. I thought he was going to step into the spotlight, but he gets an injury, is now going to miss 4 games. So that's 2 wide receivers at Bryce Young's, out of his weaponry that he's not going to have. And yes, it is and it's totally valid though that Liam Cohen, it's his first head coaching game in his career. Dave Canales has had a year now of it. And Dave Canales, who we were really high on going into last year, he started out really slow. So I could see the parallels of that possibly happening. But I do agree, though, that it's going to be a close game. I'll give the edge to the home team. But I think we bring a good debate there. Let's dive into, though, a couple of these over-unders. I'm actually curious. I kind of want to go rapid fire, actually, again. We don't have to time it. But let's look, the Eagles are projected, we'll go through kind of the top games that we want to discuss. The Eagles right now are projected 7.5-point favorites. So over a touchdown above the Dallas Cowboys. Is that something you foresee happening, or you think it's going to be a little bit closer than that?
I think it could get ugly, Justin. Look, I'm hoping Dak Prescott has a great game. I'm starting him in our main league. But I just think that, every year, whenever you bring that Super Bowl team back together, they usually have a great game. I know a few years ago, Detroit stole one on the road against the Chiefs. I know last year, Baltimore had that tying touchdown with Isaiah Likely, but it's just something about winning the Super Bowl, right? You dominated in the Super Bowl, and then you bring that whole team back. I know they had a few losses there on the defensive, and then Kellen Moore goes to New Orleans. But I just feel like Philadelphia is rocking. This is their second Lombardi. They got a franchise quarterback now that they can believe in. They have, if not one of the best running back in the NFL. And I just feel like they're going to start off hot there. And I just don't know now that Dallas, they kind of got shot in the heart with, a week, between the Micah Parsons trade and a rookie head coach. Not to mention this guy and Brian Schottenheimer was their offensive coordinator last year and didn't have Dak for the full season. So I know he was their offensive passing control quality coordinator, whatever it was, for the few years, prior to him becoming head coach. But I just feel like he just doesn't have those reps, those important reps to go on the road and to knock off a Philadelphia Eagles team and atmosphere that is on fire. So to be honest, Justin, I think they probably should win probably by 9 or 10. So maybe a little bit more than a touchdown.
No, I completely agree with you. If I had to bet on it, I would definitely go taking the points for Philadelphia. I think they will win by more than a touchdown because you're right. For one, it is new head coach in the system. The heartbreak of losing Micah Parsons, gelling with George Pickens and Javonte Williams, the risk that and the lack of depth we've seen on the offensive line for the Cowboys. And you're right, the Eagles did lose some defensive pieces, but they're going to be feisty as ever. And so I think that you're completely right there with that game. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know this has nothing to do with this game, but I wanted to, if I had an upset alert game out of this whole week 1 slate, I got to go with Cincinnati and Cleveland. I'm a little afraid there for the Bengals because I'm looking this up right now. Joe Burrow is 1-4 in week 1 starts. His only victory was week 1 in 2022, the year that they went to the Super Bowl where they beat the Vikings. So the last 3 years, 2021 was his only victory. 2022 lost to the Steelers. 23 lost at Cleveland. And I think that game, Justin, he only had 82 passing yards. Wow. And then last year, I know everybody remembers that really difficult loss home against the it was home against the Patriots where Jerod Mayo was making his head coaching debut for the Patriots. Drake May, rookie year, and he only had 164 yards. Joe Burrow did with 0 touchdowns. And 1 year, I think he threw 4 picks, Justin, against the Steelers. So
Steelers, that's right, that's Steelers.
Yeah, so Justin, 1-4 in week 1. I'm concerned in Cleveland. If this is the game that Cleveland's going to win all year, this is going to be the one because Joe Burrow does start slow. And I love Chase Brown. He's going to have a great season, but this is probably one of the few games that he'll bust. He'll probably have, one bad game this year, and I think this might be it because of Joe Burrow's lack of production on the offense. I think that Joe Flacco can take advantage, Justin, maybe hit Judy and Njoku on a couple touchdowns. So if I had to put a game on an upset alert, that'd be the one.
I like this now. We might have to make this a weekly thing. Let's bring into a possible upset of the week candidate. You pick Cincinnati and Cleveland in that game. They're favored by 5.5 points, so probably you would take the Cleveland side that probably finished within that 5.5 or is upset. I'll pick a team, and I think if there's any other team that is on upset watch, it is the Washington Commanders in week 1 hosting the New York Giants. I think that pass rush for the Giants is going to be dangerous, and Russell Wilson will be a consistent offensive piece for the Giants that they have not had in years that they could rely on, who won't make costly mistakes. So I would take the 6.5 points for the Giants, and they could possibly get the upset there. One last thing before we end the show. With an upset alert, which you pick Cleveland, I have the Giants. Who is your lock of the week, stamp of approval? They're getting the job done. It could be a team we already discussed, or it could be somebody from the rest of the slate.
I don't want to make it easy and say, Denver. That's obviously, I guess we can agree on that. But you know what, Justin? I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. I know this is a spicy take.
It's like another
These are two teams that I feel very hot and cold about. I'm very hot on Seattle, very cold on San Francisco. Seattle's home. Look, the last time we saw Sam Darnold, he had a really bad game in the wild card round against the Rams. That's okay. He's a pretty good quarterback. I'm grown to like Sam Darnold. He's not the typical old Jets quarterback that we saw. I think he can grow from what he was in Minnesota. I like him now in Seattle. That's on the upcome. They got two running backs that I love. Obviously, we all love JSN. I think if Cooper Kupp is healthy, he can be a reliable guy. And I think that Sam Darnold is going to have an efficient passing game. And he could, San Francisco's the favorite. So, you know what? I'd like Seattle to win that. I think Seattle could win by 4 or 5 points. And on the other side, I'm not really 100% sure what to expect from McCaffrey. The receiving corps are hurt. Obviously, no Ayuk. Debo's gone. Saw looks to be playing. I know they got Kittle. I just don't know if Purdy has a great game on the road, so that's why I got the Seahawks.
I think that's an interesting take there. I think that it's still valid, even though I did pick San Francisco. That is a close matchup to cipher through. You're totally right, though, that Denver would be the clear favorite for a lock of the week. I think two others that I think are valid is Philadelphia, who we've already discussed, is a lock to win, and probably the Arizona Cardinals against the Saints. So I guess if you are in your eliminator challenge, which obviously means you can only pick one team and have that be the one time you use them for the whole year, I would probably pick Arizona because I probably won't pick them to win too many other games, maybe 6 or 7 other games. But I think that would be the play there if I was in my eliminator challenge. But Dween Nation, that is our rapid fire picks for the week, our upset alerts, our locks of the week, our favorite and the betting lines. We try to cover everything around game predictions this week to help you guys. And also it's just fun to pick games. I mean, because we get football this week, ladies and gentlemen. And what's more fun than picking the winners and losers of each game? But thank you guys for listening. We got a lot more coming this week. Bold predictions for the 2025 season. We got a starts and sits of the week episode. And then we, of course, have our playoff and Super Bowl predictions episode. So stay tuned for those. Keep checking in on the TikTok. We're posting every day, talking about NFL, talking about college football. So we a full scope of things that we do. But yeah, again, thank you guys for listening. And Janoah, send us out.
Yo, Dween Nation, thank you for watching our rapid fire picks of the game. Check us out on TikTok where we will be posting rapid fire picks every week to keep track of our record and predictions there. Justin will be the main guy leading those videos. So we're so excited to get us out there and kind of spread the love out there for football season. There's our second annual season. We're so excited, guys. Thank you for watching. We love you guys. And as always, peace.